Good evening to you all. My name is Aridif, and this is Aridif, and this is Spell. We are here with great excitement and graciousness to be in your presence. We may begin when you are ready.
Oh, thank you, Aridif, for being here on this wonderful Halloween night.
Thank you. I am very excited to be here. You are loved.
Oh, I love you too, and I'm sure a lot of the people here who already know you love you very much. And speaking of love, I want to also say to everyone that my mother's birthday is tonight. She was born on Halloween Eve, so we want to wish my mom a very happy birthday. And so Rob and I just thought it would be really fun to talk about what are considered paranormal experiences, which we understand aren't truly paranormal, but it's different from the everyday Earth experience for most of us. And so we would like to bring up topics like ghosts or spirits, what are they, and also topics such as Bigfoot, fairies, different alien races, shadow people, elementals, vampires, fascination with zombies. Any of these topics are things that I thought would be really fun to explore on Halloween and the energy behind that. So anything that you feel compelled to talk about and express regarding any of these, we would love to give you the floor and hear about.
Well, let us first speak of the concepts that you would call ghosts. These entities that you perceive as ghosts are not truly ghosts, as you are aware of. Now, in your Earth experience with many entities who are within the specific realm that you would call ghosts are not just human entities who have died. They are not just entities who are alien in nature or perhaps different in your experience. They are entities upon many levels of consciousness. First, let us explain the very first layer. These are entities of humans who have died and passed on into an area that is between now, fourth and fifth density. Once before, they were deemed to be between the third and fourth, but these ghost zones between densities are harmonic levels that are set and designed for entities who are no longer in physical existence, who either die or unincarnate, and in this area they are able to connect to specific attributes, specific energies, and specific portions of the oversoul so that learning is able to be had in any given moment. Now, this is one level of what you consider ghosts. Sometimes, when human entities experience energies such as words, such as feelings, smells, such as sensations, such as you were talking of previously in this evening, of cold, heat, all of these specific things can be explained outside of that energy. You experience time to be in a linear fashion, from point A to point B, and you must experience all things between in that specific order. You may not step out of order due to your own agreements, your own consciousness, your own belief, and your own collective consciousness. Now, when you are perceiving these specific things, such as hearing voices or seeing black marks across the field of your vision, or by smelling things that are no business being in the specific area that you are at, these are not necessarily entities. What this is an energetic signature of something that once was, that is crossing realms, that is divided through either parallel realities or time itself. This is why humans have had experiences of being able to understand and perceive another's idea or concept from a time that was previous, such as remembrances of wars that have passed that were in that localized area. When you go into a place that is very high in negative history, this often happens because the residue in that specific area was so strong, it bends through time. It bends through that layer and veil that you have between you, and this is what you are experiencing. This is the second concept of what ghosts and spirits are. Third, these can be entities from higher densities that, because their vibration and harmonic makeup is higher vibrationally than yours, you are not able to perceive them. One misnomer, one miscommunication that many humans believe is that if an entity is negative in polarity, that is malevolent in nature or negative in thought process and polarity, that these entities are lower vibration than myself, who is trying to be loving and trying to be correct. This also is not true. They exist on a higher harmonic level. This means their lowest vibration is higher than your highest vibration. Therefore, you are never able to perceive them unless you are adjusting your consciousness, becoming an altered state, being able to perceive them on that level and plane. This is the third. The fourth are manifestations of your own consciousness in what you desire and care for. When you spoke to the caller previously in this evening and you suggested that if you place excitement within the one specific time period of the specific desired effect, you can have this. This is true. Mm-hmm. This is your consciousness being bent into this area for that time. Now, these are ghosts, ghouls, goblins, however you perceive them in your own reality. But one other point of interest that we wish to speak on is humans' obsession with zombies.
Yes.
Now, this is one thing that is very intriguing to us, but we understand why obsessions with zombies are there. Humans innately, subconsciously know that there is no way to detach consciousness from a physical body, but yet they experience the closest thing to this by being in the earth, by being in an environment where it is default to set yourself up for detachment from source energy. This is a fascination. It is a fascination to see the highest manifestation of a level of conscious detachment from physical reality, and that is why you obsess with zombies. You obsess because you know that this is not possible to happen, but you are living as close as you can. You desire to see something in a far worse level than what you are in your own perception. Now, of course, it is not worse, it is not better. You are not less than anyone who is more attached to source, but this is your own human perception.
That's really, really amazing. Especially right now, there's just this big, intriguing atmosphere with the whole zombie thing, and I think that's very interesting. I wanted to touch upon a couple things. For instance, when you mentioned harmonic levels, how you spoke about, like, say, for instance, a ghost, which is in the fourth density, correct? Or spirit, for lack of better words, so like a person who may have just recently crossed over into fourth density after death. And let's say that we have something that we interact with, say it's what some people perceive as like a shadow person. So they may have like a lower vibration, but they are in a higher density. So are you saying much of the time we wouldn't perceive that because we need to be, is it like synonymous with saying we're in tune when you're talking about harmonic levels, or is this something completely different?
First, let us look at what you've said of these entities who have died going into the fourth density. Now, this is a misnomer also, because now humanity is in the fourth density. In the fourth density, now all who pass away, who in or disincarnate, these entities are now between the fourth and fifth density level. Wow. Many of you are not even perceiving the fourth density level that you are, because your belief is that you cannot. So, even entities who are in the fourth density level are eluding you. Even the entities who are now in the ghost zone between fourth and fifth are most definitely eluding you. It is not harmonic as in the way that we string chords and make tunes with several notes playing together, although this is a great synonymy to this idea. What the true nature of it is the molecular structure, the atomic structure in all particles that are subatomic by nature are vibrating at a much higher level. This is what we mean by harmonic levels. When you hear the word harmonic level, it has nothing to do with sound, only vibration. Vibration is the base of sound, but sound is only a byproduct of vibration to begin with. So when we use harmonic tones, harmonic resonance, harmonic levels, we are speaking of vibration more and less of the byproduct of sound that it makes.
Oh, so if someone is in, they know they're in the fourth density and they're perceiving it, would they be able to perceive, say, like someone who has like a Draco energy, and also, some other beings that are also residing in the fourth density. Would they be able to see all of them evenly over a scale?
Well, first of all, we will address this in this way. If someone dies or goes into this ghost zone, then they are able to see all things between fourth and fifth density and everything below this. The example you use, we understand what you mean, but the Draco energy resides only within the sixth density. There are no physical entities that may see the Draco with their physical eyes unless one of two things occur. First, you are living in the sixth density and are equally vibrational in the physical makeup, not vibrational in the spiritual growth elements that many use these terms interchangeably, but these terms are not interchangeable. They are the same word but have two different meanings. Vibrationally, they are equal because of the harmonic level in which they reside. There is a second way to see a Draco if you are not a sixth density entity. This is very less able to happen for many entities in this galaxy for one specific reason. Your DNA as a human is what you would call the master DNA. This is the greatest DNAs of all races through all densities. This gives you the opportunity, if you desire to tap into those vibrational resonant areas of your DNA, to lift yourself into a higher harmonic level. Many entities do not have this capability. If you are a fourth density entity, you may only perceive that in which is equal to you. Fourth density, vibration of good and bad, not mattering, only the level of the actual harmonic level of fourth density. Fifth is the same, sixth is the same. All entities from higher densities may look below them. A sixth density can perceive all things. A fifth density may only perceive that which is equal in all that is below, including fourth, third, second, and first. But they may not look upon with their physical eyes a sixth density entity. They may, if their DNA is adjusted to, if it has specific attributes of other races that are of sixth density nature, and they are able to tap into that vibration, then they may perceive them, but not upon a physical level. It is much akin to the same way that Rob is able to connect to Trebor Yitney in astral projected state, and this occurs only because Rob is human. His DNA holds that of fourth, fifth, and sixth density entities. You were blessed with a multi-dimensional DNA.
Oh, that is really amazing. So does that explain how there are people, for instance, who have experienced, or they feel they've experienced, they had experiences with Dracos, for instance. They say they've seen them. I know I had a dream of them where they showed more of a kind of hybridized state, just kind of mocking. They were showing as like part human, but letting me know what they really were. And but I'm just curious. So is that because of the DNA that I was able to perceive that, or is that something else altogether?
This is correct. It is because your DNA is tuned to the fourth density that you are, the third density that you perceive, the fifth and sixth density alike. But let us explain one thing. Many humans believe that any entity who is in a sleep state or astral projected state may climb the rang, if you will, or the ladder of the rangs that are combined. But in this specific concept, this is not true also. For many other races who do not have this universal DNA with multiple dimensions placed in the DNA, the highest vibrational level that they are able to connect to in this specific astral projected state is that in which a higher fractalized consciousness resides. And for every entity who is physical in nature can only achieve its connection to their higher fractalized consciousness. Now, each entity that resides within any density, their higher fractalized consciousness resides in the ghost zone of the level in which they are when they unincarnate. This means, as humans, in a sleep state, you should, if not having the specific universal DNA, would only be able to reach between the fourth and fifth density, not to the fifth density. Only between the fourth and fifth, because this is where your growth area is. When you become non-physical. This is the highest that you can go so that you may grow, expand, perceive, and choose a new incarnation. So in that moment, your higher fractalized consciousness is residing there permanently. This is where you receive your higher guidance from, and this is where you receive your dream state connection from. This is the same for all entities. Now, those entities who have evolved out of sleep, they still have the same sleep state consciousness, but it is not in a sleep state. It is in a deep meditative state. And even in that area, they are only able to go between the density above them and to where they are physically in theirs. For instance, Triple Yisni, if he were to meditate, the highest he would be able to receive his own consciousness interaction is between the fifth and sixth density. Not to the sixth, and not only on the fifth, between this area, this ghost zone that he would come to once he decides to unincarnate.
Oh, thank you. And just for one moment, I'm noticing the time we have, and I have an idea, if it's okay with you and TReb and Rob. As many of you know I see a lot of callers coming on the line, and one of the things I wanted to mention to anybody that's just coming in is Blog Talk was experiencing some kind of technical difficulty where it started at 7:55 p.m. It started live broadcasting, and of course my show starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what happens is it will cut off, but I want to keep the program running a little longer, so that means if you're listening via computer, you may experience it cutting off. If you're on the phone, you should be able to perceive it. If you have a Blog Talk account, which is free, and you have a Skype account, which is also free, you can sign into Blog Talk, and then if you go to the link that's been provided, those of you that are listening via computer, just sign in to your Blog Talk account, or you can create one really quickly, and then you will see a Skype button pop up. You want to refresh it, and you'll see a little Skype button. I think it's either a little above or below the window. They have some stuff in beta right now that they're working on. If you click on that, you will be able to dial the same number, 347-308-8788, and press 1 if you want to ask a question. It works the same way. If you hit the plus sign, there's a dial pad on Skype. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, because we have, I feel like, a lot of interesting things to cover, and I'd like to also be able to take a few calls and hear some stories. It's very fun Halloween night, but I think it's just too interesting to cut off all of a sudden. So
may I interject for one
Sure.
moment? In this technology, with the probability and the way that it sits in this moment, there is over a 90% probability that even those who are on the telephone may not be able to hear what is being said. But when processing through Rob's mind, it is assured that as long as the call between yourself and Blog Talk are aligned, that all things that are recorded through your program that records Skype calls will be able to receive and record all transmissions between yourself and myself. This does not mean that the entities who get cut off will be able to join in and participate, but you will be able to continue your conversation with me nonetheless.
Thank you very much. So, and just so you guys know, it will archive almost immediately after the show, and Aridif is correct. We have a backup recording device, so regardless of what happens, we will have all of this information. Just try back again, 347-308-8788. If you do get caught off, if it doesn't let you back in, rest assured we will definitely have the rest of the show in archive before the end of the night. Thank you, Aridif, for that.
Yes, you are loved.
You are loved too. Thank you. So here's an interesting thing. So you are also a sixth density entity, and so
yes.
We would perceive you as much less physical than even someone who's crossed over. And you're talking about how our DNA has the ability to perceive you if we really wanted to evolve that way. Am I correct?
you would be able to perceive me if you can tap into the DNA portions of yourself that hold and house sixth density consciousness. That of the ancient reptilian energy, that is one sixth density consciousness that you hold and house. Also, the ancient Pleiadian energy that you carry, not the ancient Pleiadian that Earth has dubbed my own race, but the Pleiadians who are no longer physical carry DNA within you that is also sixth density. Both of those would suffice. There are more DNAs, but we will not go into this, as TReb or Yitney has asked us not to speak of this until the Earth is ready to speak of this.
So would it be too advanced to ask on behalf of the collective if we wanted to visit TReb or you or someone, you know, a fractal part of our oversoul who is residing in the fourth, fifth, or sixth dimension, density, and I know that we are already technically in the fourth density, but how would we be able to visit, for lack of better words, you guys and perceive you? How would we be able to connect with you more deeply?
First of all, if you are speaking of a fourth density entity, then all you must do is let go of your resistance. This is the first step.
Yeah.
This is what we have explained to you before about fourth density and interaction, and the reason that you cannot perceive many of the fourth density entities that are available to your race at this time. Secondly, if you are wanting to connect to any entity and you feel outside of your vibrational range of the fourth density entity, you may do this A, in dream state, and B, in meditative state. There is another way to do this, which many of you would call astral projected state, through meditation or through relaxed consciousness, and this can be done simply by intent, letting go, but belief systems are essential in this domain. If you wish to connect to the physical aspects of any race that is deemed higher density than yourself, you must know that you are able to do this. You must place a direct and clear intent without fear, whether it be conscious or subconscious by nature, and then you project yourself to the region. We have expressed previously in the first true verbal interaction to humanity since the ancient times of humans, we have spoke directly explaining how to connect to our own race. This is astral project yourself to the nearest planet that you would call Mars. This is something that all of you can find very easily in the sky. And once you are there, go to the northern tip of the planet. It's very easy to see when you see the stars zipping around you as time is being bent to your will. Look directly up as you are in the northernmost area, and the star that moves the least is ours. Come there with an open heart and an open mind, and we will receive you.
Oh, thank you. That's something that I definitely really want to experience, visiting you and TReb in that way, being able to have that experience, which I know a lot of us have these experiences, I guess, in dream state and astral project, but we don't recall. Why is it that we don't recall visiting other versions of our counterparts and parts of our oversoul? Is there a reason why we don't recall these things?
There are many reasons. Let's go over the most basics for the majority of humans. A, you have not trained yourself to connect to your dream state self, therefore you cannot remember any dream. B, there is a waking up process that is too violent for you. When you wake, you are waking to loud sounds, banging around, not being able to ease yourself out in the nature that it takes to be able to absorb what you have just connected to. This is a very great tip for all of you who are waking up to these loud alarm clocks. Try to find your body's synchronicity to wake you up, and wake up very slowly. The first thought when you wake should be a retainment of what you can remember in that dream state. Thirdly, there is a blockage of consciousness with many humans due to the belief systems that they carry and the lack of trust within their own self. This is another detriment. There are many dream states that can be had and retained. There are many works upon your planet, whether it be written, verbal, video, or archived internet information that allows you to understand what lucid dreaming is and what bringing it back requires. Study these things. Practice these things. This is the problem with many human consciousnesses. When they try to connect to that, they are looking at that specific idea and they do not implement it. They are excited to do this, but they do not do it when they wake because they have lived in a state since they were child to not remember. The first thing that I must remember is what I am dreaming of, and that has been the problem in your own perception, what a problem truly is. We can assure you that once you connect to your own excitement and it becomes great enough, you will find a way to remember the very first thing in the morning. It has often been expressed by TReb or Yitni that if you place a new decrement or a new decoration in your area of waking, the first thing that you see that is different will remind the cue of your own mind to try to close back your eyes, relax and breathe and absorb what you can of the sleep state in which you've just come.
That is a great idea to place something that's different, some kind of decoration.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's just a wonderful idea. So I'm going to be observing the areas which I don't even know where I look. I think I kind of look on the floor, but I'll be sure to observe that and place something there. Just letting the callers know, Blog Talk is giving me a 60-second warning, so if you get dropped, don't fear, we'll continue having this conversation and recording it, and it will be available before the end of the night for replay, so just thought I'd let you guys know that. If you're on and you don't get dropped, we will try to take some callers before the end of the night, and sorry for the technical difficulties once again. So, back into the spirit of Halloween, I would like to also talk about Bigfoot, since we were talking earlier about fourth density. These are fourth density or fifth, correct?
They can be. Now let us explain that they can be from all densities. But continue with your question, as I am sure it is not completely over.
Yes. Oh, wow, that's amazing that you know that. You know me so well. Yes, people will spot Bigfoot, so there's been speculation that some are from the Earth, or they're from another dimension, or some of them are also, extraterrestrial. So there's a lot of speculation and curiosity about what Bigfoot really is. I mean, who they are, what their race is, and I know a lot of people would love to get a little bit more clarity about Bigfoot and also how they might be able to have an experience with the Bigfoot.
Yes, and what you have said, your ideas of humanity's collective about what Bigfoot is, all of them are true. There are entities who are coming from other planetary consciousnesses who have come here to visit. This is why you can see them sometimes and not see them others. Some entities, two races specifically, had come from fourth density consciousness from other planets and became stuck here. A couple of them have come and decided to stay here. This is why they come in and out of your existence, as sometimes your vibration in third density was high enough to see them in the beginning of the fourth, and sometimes it was not. There are also entities who are coming from parallel realities, Earth, that do not share the same timeline in linear history that you do. These entities were part of a race that grew in the way that they normally did, in their connection to whichever energy of their own planet. They are able to go from parallel existence to parallel existence, and this is why they are coming in and out of either matrices or parallel existences within itself. So some of these are from Earth, naturally progressing. Some of them are from areas of other stars visiting, and some are from other stars that are permanently staying. The way that you can perceive them, again, as we have spoke of all night, raising your vibration, letting go of resistance, living in the fourth density in which most of them reside, and then connecting in these dream and astral projected states for those who reside in fifth and sixth density. This will be the easiest way. To have an excitement about what Bigfoot is, to have an excitement to connect to them, this does not hurt your chances at all. It only makes them larger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And some other things that I want to bring up. We've spoken about the fascination with zombies, and there's another fascination with vampires. So I'm curious to know what a vampire truly is and what our fascination as the collective is with vampires.
There are vampires of different natures. There are ones that you would call energy vampires. These are many of the malevolent negative entities either in your own existence, in densities that are higher from you, or in parallel existences that connect to humanity. They have connected to them not being able to be seen. Even in your own folklore, you have labeled these entities as incubuses and succubuses that are connecting to your energy in a sexual manner to be able to use it as food for their own sustenance. This is often to entities who do not wish to take the next level of evolution. They are not willing to step into the higher density as they know growth is inevitable. So instead of jumping up, they stay within a stasis of moving energy only by taking it from others. This is a vampiristic nature. There are entities that have drank physical blood from humans, but this is very small in comparison to the energetic vampires. The folklore is taking the mix of both of these stories, the energy suckers as well as the blood suckers, and putting them into one specific story. The fascination, again, goes with knowing that you are limited, goes with knowing that you have placed yourself in this experience so that you may have great experiences of growth, great experiences of moving forward into your own specific excitement, and knowing that although it feels limited, you are truly behind the mask, unlimited beings as all of us are. And in that excitement, there becomes a fascination with the subconscious knowledge of knowing that these vampires are truly connecting to all of you when you decide to live in an area of consciousness that shows yourself to be victimized, that shows yourself to be negative or not needed or not wanted. All of these things that you become down upon yourself for allows these entities to enter your energy and to feed from them. So you know, many of you, when you feel that depression spiral going down, when you feel like you are losing control, you have allowed your energy, through intent of not caring anymore what happens to you, to allow these energies to suck upon your energy. And as that happens, you are creating that, and therefore the fascination becomes more fascinating.
Wow. That's amazing. So it's pretty common for people who are in a depressive spiraling kind of loop downward. It's common for these energies to come and feed upon them. Is this correct?
Of course, and it is not only in those moments of spiraling, it is well before then. It is when you have let go of your care of getting worse. When you feel yourself begin to slip down the very first ring, you express to yourself, I cannot get out of this rut. I am stuck. I will never get better. This allows. Through intent, you are telling the universe that I wish to experience being sucked into a hole.
Yes.
These entities have the tools to do this, to co-create the experience that you desire.
And it's interesting, too. It almost seems like someone could almost become addicted to that, because you had said earlier, for instance, the incubus, the succubus, they, vampires are portrayed oftentimes as very sexual, very alluring, and it makes me wonder if, because sometimes, I know for me, I was depressed for many years, and I think there was this side of me that just couldn't resist. It would just give into it. You know what I mean? And it makes me wonder if, we give in to those patterns. Does that make sense?
Yes, it is understood why you would give up at that moment, why you would allow into the energy to be sucked from you, and this is very common, and this is why we express these ideas. We are not judging, we are only informing you, so that you may have the power to decide if this is something that you want to experience as a collective anymore. If not, now you have the keys to take care of this for yourself. You have always had the key, but now you are reminding yourself through me.
And I have an idea of what the first step is, but what is the first step if someone realizes that pattern within themselves and they decide, I want to change this pattern, I want to not be spiraling down in that cycle anymore, and I don't want to be fed upon, what is your suggestion that they can do as their first steps into getting into a different reality from that?
3 words encompass the answer to this, as you already are aware. You are loved. This includes the love from yourself to yourself. This is the paramount key. This is the first step of steps. This is the springboard in which to jump into all other growths and encouragements of love. Self-love, self-appreciation, knowing that you are eternal and that nothing can affect you unless you desire or need it to affect you.
That is amazing. And accepting all aspects of ourselves. I had a couple of dreams. This is a little personal, but I think it could be beneficial for some people to hear. But when I was a young teenager, I kind of bought into the whole, at that time in my life, I wanted to meet, the one and only, caught into that whole, one and only soulmate thing, and wanted to save myself for the one and only. And I think on a subconscious level, I got obsessed with that. And so I had a couple of dream states, which I consider pretty astral, where it was a succubus who was pretty obsessed with me. I was very angry because I had felt, pretty protected by lighter energies than I was, but I didn't realize that it seems to me now I'm realizing it was my not accepting myself, especially, heading into my teenage years, or I was in my teenage years, having this newfound sexuality and having these ideas of how it should be, and especially can be complex when you are a female, you're in a female body, and you're given all these messages that can be very confusing. I know, especially, I know a little more, with the Western society of American culture, and there are still some of those old world messages conflicting with the new. And so I kind of wonder if that focus and not accepting fully my own sexuality outside of what the collective thinks, outside of what I thought at that time was spiritual, what was acceptable, I'm wondering if that is what led that experience to happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, and you are correct. In this area of sexuality, many humans have difficulties with this, and you are correct. Women are the ones who tend to be more dominant in the energy of having an issue with the second chakra to the level in which they do. There are many men who have second chakra issues that are in fact even worse than many women, but this is for different reasons. That specific idea, yes, you are correct. It is very common and very dominant in many women. This is why your own race has rape and sexuality, rape of children, also having specific energies of STDs, diseases that are given out to the sexual energy, all of these things, because there has been such a warping of the message of what sexuality is, and because of the perceptions being faulted in a way by perceiving any sexuality to be negative or all sexuality to be negative, then in these perceptions that you have had that have been twisted and perceived as faulted by many humans for a long period of time, this gives way to all of the negative things associated with sex and sexuality. And you are very correct. In this way, your energy allowed the connection and co-creation with this incubus entity.
Oh, yes. And what's interesting is in all reality, I did not feel like the incubus intended harm. You're absolutely right. There was something in me that was co-creating that, but when I'm looking at it now, it simply gave me the opportunity to shake out of those belief systems that I didn't realize at the time I had adopted and have carried around subconscious shame and guilt for years. And so in that way, it can actually be seen as a blessing because now it gave me an opportunity to make a choice. So in that respect, I want to carry it as a good thing that actually happened.
Yes, we understand this idea, and this is why, again, you are loved comes into play. That when you see the love in yourself, when you know that you are deserving of all others' love, as well as being able to project your love into others equally without seeing biases of sexual nature or any nature, then you can find yourself being on an equal playing field with all others and not feeling a need to co-create experiences that tap into negative perceptions of sexuality or any energy for this matter.
And I wanted to make a little comment just out of experience. And I agree that we all deserve love from others, but I have learned in my life not to expect it from everyone. And that's why it's very, very important that we fully, fully love and embrace ourselves and know that we are truly loved. But I know that in the past, when I would try to work for that love and have a part of me that would expect it, if they could just see how much I was giving, how much I was loving, there was a part of me that was expecting, well, eventually they'll see. It's just probably just better to go with knowing your worth, your value as a part of the all that is. So that's my little spiel on that. Let's see, what else do we have? Shadow people. This is a big one that comes up on a very famous radio show, Coast to Coast AM, which I listen to from time to time, just for the fun of it. But I've known a couple of people who had experiences with shadow people. I think we've all sensed them at one time. Who are these shadow people? What are they, and what is their reason for coming into contact with humans?
Please define your idea of what shadow people are. I feel contradictory ideas between Rob and yourself, and I need to have a clear definition so that I may point the direct energy in the area in which it needs to be.
Well, that is a very good point, because there are a lot of people, there are some people who see them like they're dark and they have red eyes for some people, but the people that I know that experienced them, they both had this issue where they were shadow-like, they were dark, and it seemed like almost like they were getting sucked in their dream state. They felt like they were going to get lost almost in a void of that shadow. And they would, call out, for instance, some kind of energy name, like a deity's name. At that time, I suggested they call out Krishna, or, they could call out for Christ, and that would help to serve as an anchoring for them. And it worked, but it was very scary for them. And so there are a lot of people who experience that kind of energy. There are also people who, if I recall, on some of the radio shows where they would express that it just felt very sinister, would cause chaos from them. They appeared darker than a shadow itself. It could be in a dark room. Some people said they appeared to have red eyes, but, I don't know. I've felt the presence of something along those lines, but I never, to my knowledge that I can recollect, really allowed myself to see it fully, because I knew on the deepest level that I'm okay, so it still skirts a little bit, but it seems to be another phenomenon a lot of people experience, and I'm just very curious what that could be.
Yes, now we understand more precisely what we are looking at. First, we will cover the idea that Rob's perception of these shadow people. What he had expressed previously, while both of you were talking about the entities that manifest themselves through specific energies with heat and light This is correct. This is something that TReb Yitney has shared with him long ago that still holds true energy to this day. Those are entities that you perceive as ghosts that are black by nature. Now, the energy that accompanies some of these entities that you are speaking of, and the red eyes that also sometimes accompany, this is something that is different. In the dream state, it can be different than it is in a physical state. In the dream state, this is a symbolism and manifestation or a connection with what we will talk of in one moment, but most of the time it is a symbolism of the darkest portion of your consciousness. Many humans are so afraid of themselves to be bad or negative that they will create a dream state in which the ultimate evil comes to them, void of any light, which is very symbolic of the nature of what they believe they are capable of, being removed from light, being removed from wisdom, being removed from source energy and love, and having a feeling of desperate energy, or having a feeling that all hope is gone and that you are losing what you are. This is a symbolism that is caused from the most primordial fear within a human consciousness, because you are riding that line, because you are riding this specific razor's edge that allows you to lose yourself enough where you feel very lost. But rest assured, you are never lost, and once you embrace this fact, once you know that you are unremovable from source energy, that nothing can wedge between you, only your perception, and this is the only thing that can make you feel as if you are disconnected, then these deities, entities will go. Now, when we look at the secondary nature, the second category of the second type of these shadow energies, what this represents is an entity who is of a higher density that is malevolent. These entities are the ones that we have spoke of before in this evening, but they are presenting themselves as pure darkness. This is for dramatic effect, dramatic flair, but also it is your own self co-creating that version of them, because this is all that you can perceive them as. You do not wish to see them in their true form, because to you, they are removing your energy from the source. They're removing your energy from you. They are trying to put a wedge between yourself and the creator energy. This is why you perceive them in this way. This is why they will manifest themselves in this way. This is what you are experiencing with these shadow people.
I'm curious, how common is it that these interactions with shadow people, with anything that we perceive as, again, for lack of better words, as light or dark, how many times is that part of our own oversoul? Because it just seems like a large majority of the experiences we have are often, a lot of our parts of our oversoul seem to be playing with each other, regardless if it's considered dark or light.
This is correct, and this is one of two things also. This is your oversoul playing with your own selves, that you may co-create experiences that both of you need in that fractalized consciousness, or it is one member of your soul family or soul group that wishes to co-create for the various reasons of growth within both of yourselves. Now, looking at the interaction directly, when you perceive a portion of your oversoul that you are playing with in that way, it is much as Rob connecting to myself and to TReb Yitney, because we both desire a specific energy exchange. TReb Yitney and Rob both request and desire a specific energetic exchange. Even our interactions with you through the same oversoul expressing itself through many variations, we all co-create willingly. These entities are co-creating willingly, but from a subconscious level. It is something in which most of the human entities do not know that they have agreed to perceive, that they do not know that they have agreed to interact with and co-create, but are doing it nonetheless.
Yes, and would you say in the deepest sense, we actually have fun with all of this?
When you're time to physically leave the physical incarnation and go into your own separate specific ghost zone for your specific harmonic level, which is between the fourth and fifth. You will connect to your higher fractalized consciousness, you will integrate to it, and you will be able to see the importance of the interaction and know that it wasn't negative. Your perception from the higher fractalized consciousness is what most of you deem to be higher self. You have the higher perspective there. You will never lose that higher perspective after you have connected to it. You will smile, laugh, and enjoy your interactions with even the most deviant, the most malevolent entity you ever cross in your physical existence.
How do we do that before crossing over?
Know that it is a part of you. Know that it is a portion of something that you have called to yourself so that you may experience it. Then you can remove the feeling of victimhood. Then you can remove the feeling that I am the one who is being beaten upon and taken advantage of and removed from my highest excitement, and it is all because of you. Removing your victimization can come just by knowing that you are co-creating intentionally, knowing that these entities are a part of you. If you choose to continue your illusion that you are separate from the nicest human that you have met, as well as the most deviant and malevolent, then this is up to you. You may play in your illusion as long as you will, and we will not try to stop you.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that there's that blend of all of that knowing, and that mirrors back in the human DNA too. Just for instance, us having the Pleiadian genetics and the Draco genetics and fairy, you name it. We've got all of these different. I like to see as mirrors, but it is ultimately a game, isn't it?
If you can see it in this way, there is much growth that occurs. It feels very real. So in this way, no, it is not a game. But in the larger sense of things, of course, it is friends playing a game. It has often been akin to the video game or playing a play. And these two examples are very accurate in the energetic sensory of the examples given. Correct.
Awesome. Well, I see we have a couple of callers on the line. Do you feel, I know that sometimes Rob's body gets a little tired. How are we doing with that in time?
We have time for a couple callers who may begin when
wonderful.
you wish.
Awesome. And you have your headphones and you can hear?
This is correct. We may hear everything. We are hearing our own selves being reverberated into our ears, so we imagine that we will be able to hear them as well.
Would you like to switch headphones?
We do not need this.
Okay.
We are fine. We are not in the same brain comparison interactions, Trebol-Yisnias, where it distracts him very highly. We are capable of doing this. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
You are loved.
Thank you. You are loved too. Okay, so we will go ahead and take a caller, and it's a Skype caller. I'm just going to read the last part of the name, Mark 1.
Hey, Kalina.
Hi, Mark. Are you there?
Hi,
Hello,
can you hear
Mark?
me, Kalina?
I can
Hello?
hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, how are you, Kalina?
Oh, I'm awesome. How are you doing tonight on this wonderful Halloween Eve?
I'm doing great. We had the kids around last night wandering up and down the streets trying to get lollies. That's the focus of Halloween over here.
Yes, same over here. They love to go and get candy. It was one of my favorite things. Sometimes I think about just dressing up as a kid and having a shot at that again.
Yeah, it's fun. You sound really well, Kalina. You sound really well.
You.
It's great.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much. So did you have any stories, or did you have any questions for artists regarding any of these quote-unquote paranormal experiences, or a little bit of both? Feel free to share.
Most of my experiences are sort of more in the lucid dreaming area. That's the kind of area of interest and experience that I sort of seem to be in most of the time. But I do have a question for Aridif, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Sure. Hi, Aridif. How are you?
We are doing fine, and we are glad that you are here with us this evening to co-create once again.
Thank you very much. Aridif, you mentioned a little bit earlier that there's quite a specific and useful way to connect with yourself, with your people, and you mentioned the process of projecting to Mars, etc. I've been working on a connection, as you're aware, with Shanae from the Polaris region. He's given me the idea of focusing in on a point between two stars in the handle. I'm just wondering, Aridif, are you able to just tap into that and help me just to fine-tune that idea, because I'm not actually able to locate exactly where to put my attention, and I've created the belief for myself that that's a problem. So are you able to help me with that one?
Yes. Sometimes in this energy, many entities, when they give you instructions, they ask you to overthink this. We would explain to you to overthink this may not be the key to do this. What you do is look at the constellation in whole as it is in the energy in which you feel it to be, and feel this entity's energy very strongly. Once you connect this strong energy, all you do is place an intent to connect to this entity and his race specifically, and that will be fine. The entity is asking you to do many things, and this, in fact, can make you tap into the logical portion of your brain, which then takes away from your ability to use your heart-centered intuitive nature to connect to the portions in which you truly need.
Thank you, Aridif. I can extend that question a little bit. I wanted to ask you, I think it's probably appropriate, I'm questioning whether this is the right connection to be making at this time. I'm just wondering, you've said to me before that there are many galactic connections available to me at the moment. Should I be focusing here, or should I be putting out a more general feeler connection, if you like, to see who turns up?
To put the ball back into your court, what do you feel it is? Do you feel that it is correct?
What I feel is correct is to connect the entity that I'd be able to bring information through that's most helpful to those that I would connect with in the future. So
do you feel an excitement to connect this entity specifically?
Perhaps not to the degree that for that particular purpose. I do as an individual entity very much. I feel the love and I return that love. But in terms of the information I want to be able to move through, that's where my question lies. I'm not convinced in the interaction so far, but also we've had a poor connection at one point as well, and it was difficult to communicate. So it is a little bit complicated to answer that question.
Well, in this way, your perception comes to you for a reason. It has come to you so that you may look at this more deeply, so that you can examine this on a level. But what we will ask you to do is not to overthink this. Take your heart, ask the question, what your heart gives you as an answer. This is the truth. It is not made with your mind, but only your heart. Close your mind, open your heart, relax, meditate, place one question into your aura and field in that moment. Is this the entity who is right for this purpose? When you hear yes, it is. When you hear no, it is not. Then you will have your answer. We can never answer these things as we are not directly a portion of your own energetic extension. Therefore, we can never tell you what is best for you, nor what can be most fitting for your experience. You are the only one who is allowed to do this. But we will tell you that when you find this answer, it will come quickly. You must not second-guess yourself, and you must always remember that you are loved.
Thank you, Aridif. There's another quick part. Is it okay, Kalina, if I just ask another question?
Oh, absolutely. As long as Aridif, TReb, and Rob are okay with it, I am totally okay.
We are ready for one more question, correct?
Thank you. Aridif, you mentioned before the idea of activating DNA creates more capacity to connect into other realms, other dimensions. As you're aware, I've had some experience of DNA activation in the dream state. I'm just wondering in my case, what you can see that would make available for me in terms of extending and reaching out. How has it improved my capacity, what I've experienced?
Your excitement is there for a reason. When you connect and when you project yourself outwardly, you are making a wider and greater connection. Any extension that you have in excitement will always equal an extension of energy in which you can benefit from. So while your excitement is there to extend, let us suggest one more technique that will work with your energy specifically, and this is, the integration of third eye consciousness with an extension through your crown chakra. Expand your third eye into the third field of your specific crown chakra, your outermost field of crown chakra, and use this outer layer of crown chakra energy to enhance the third eye's capability, and this will allow you a greater field of vision.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aridif. Thank you, Kalina and Rob.
Oh,
you are very welcome. You are loved.
You are very welcome. We do love you.
Cheers, guys. Well, I love you too. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Happy Halloween.
As those entities in the country of Australia are in your future, that is their past. They are already in the day after Hallows Eve, as you would call this, and this is very exciting that you have just traveled forward into time to have a conversation.
I agree.
Now you understand how the creation of our own specific race is in every moment of every day, but we are able to do this with everyone we speak with, even if they are next to us. Good practice for you, we think.
Yes, and there are definitely people living all over the world, different time zones. That is interesting. We don't even realize that we already had a little bit of a concept of nonlinear time without even knowing it.
This is correct.
So, let's see, we have, and I will just give the last part of the name because another Skype caller, last name Thor. Hi,
hello,
who do
Kalina.
we have with us? Hi.
David.
Hey, David, how are you?
I'm fine. Happy Halloween to you and to Aridif.
Happy Halloween to you, too. I remember you from, I think you called in last week, too.
Yes, indeed.
Yay. So what did you want to talk about tonight? Did you have a story, question, both?
Yeah, I guess I would have a question that's rather dark, but I thought for tonight it would be appropriate to ask.
Well, hey, it's Halloween.
Yes, indeed. So I was wondering if Aridif or TReb could elaborate on the involvement of demonic entities or extraterrestrial entities with our government here on Earth, and especially in combination with Satanism and Black Mass.
Yes, we may talk of this if you truly wish to hear the answer to this idea. The answer is it is not as highly done as what most humans would believe. Yes, there are entities who are embracing the dark arts as you would perceive as black magic. There are what you would perceive as demonic entities, but let us quickly redefine what a demonic entity is. A demonic entity can be a variance of different things. First of all, it may be a sixth entity who is malevolent by nature, who may come to you in inner energy that it desires. Another can be those of the fallen archangel consciousnesses, which are more aligned with your Judeo-Christian history, but is not truly a demon and angel story as the Bible would give it to you. There is also demonic entities who are those who are most separated from light and consciousness creator. These entities are all co-creating with your planet. Now, most of the entities who are connected to your governments, to these entities that you would deem as Illuminatis, are of the ancient reptilian and the earth reptilian connection. Both of those races are still highly tied to one another and are connected to humanity. But the stories you hear of the Satanistic practices, Satanism at its greatest, is not what it is hyped up to be. They are giving you stories so that you have more reason to fear them. They are winning your hearts over with fear. You have allowed this to happen because you have believed them to be much larger and greater than what they are as a collective. What we can suggest, if you wish to remove them from power over yourself, is to quit fearing them. Your fear for them is giving them the exact power that they need. They are much as the incubus, succubus energies. If they know that you are afraid, they will latch onto your energy and they will continue to remove it from you. Remove your fear from them, remove their capability to reign over you, and you will have a freedom in which once you have never had before. This is what we can say of all of these things in the shortest time possible. Thank you for asking. You are loved.
You are loved as well. Thank you for answering.
Yes.
And Rob and TReb and I also send you our love too, David.
Thank you very much, and that's reciprocal. You get my love as well.
Oh, thank you. Happy Halloween.
To you too.
Thank you.
We will have time for one last question if you have one.
Well, if anyone wants to dial 1, we have plenty of callers on the line, but no hands raised. I know some people might have gotten dropped off that would have loved to come on, but I do have a little question in the meantime.
And we were just going to suggest that if for any reason no one raises their hand, there is a question that you have that can be beneficial.
Oh, good. Well, I had noticed, because I had written down, there were a couple of things, but I think I really want to, because there's a lot of information out there on fairies. If you guys listen to Nora Herold, I wanted to get into the elementals. And of course, I'm not talking about the building blocks, the elements, but people often have these experiences with like types of spirits, and they refer to them as the elementals. And I was curious on what you know of that, what they really are, and just some more information on that.
Yes, we are very aware of what these elemental energies and spirits are. What they are a physical, non-physical manifestation of the collective consciousness of one element. For instance, as humans, you have the human collective consciousness. As a Denebian, we have Denebian collective consciousnesses. The water, fire, electricity, air, rock, wind, earth, all of these things. Once their consciousness is combined, it equals one entity who is the spokesperson, one who has high enough consciousness to interact in a way that you would perceive as high enough for communication. These are the elemental spirits. There is not only one of them. They are all amalgamations that are manifested out into a design that they are needed to be designed at in that moment, in that time. For instance, if you meet an entity who is a wind elemental or an air elemental, in one connection you have, it will seem to be very peaceful, very loving. Others, it will be very angry and very upset. And this is because both experiences are needed. For instance, the one who is very loving and very kind, it is the wind energy showing its thanks to a tribe or race that has done well with the air in its community. The ones who are mad and angry, those are the air molecules that have collected in a collective consciousness who wish to give a thought to the entities around them who are polluting them, that they are not happy with their actions. This is what we are speaking of when we say that they manifest differently in each occasion.
Wow. And would you say that what density are they considered to reside in?
This also depends. They can be as physical as the third density human once was, and sometimes feel as if they are just slightly higher in vibration, slightly less physical, or they can be as high as the entire Earth, all of the elements in that moment collecting so that it feels to be almost as high as a sixth density entity.
Wow.
Reminding yourself that the majority of things upon your planet are made up of first density consciousness, including your physical body. So this means that the amalgamation of all of these elements equal a seventh density oversoul consciousness, which then connects to other oversoul consciousnesses, which then connects to the high seventh density collective consciousness, which is the entirety of its Earth. So it takes first density entities to make all other densities, including the physical manifestation of the seventh density entity that is the entirety of your planet. And this is why first density entities are the most powerless and the most powerful all at once.
So how do we connect with elementals more deeply, and how, with the ones that are considered to be more positive, and then also how do we make peace with the ones that are feeling, for instance, you mentioned air that's polluted. What can we do as a collective, since we seem to, reside with each other? What can we do to strengthen that relationship?
You may do what you would do to receive strengthening of any relationship. You must see what specifically is causing the strain, see if it is something that you are doing that does not resonate with you, and if it does resonate with you, there is nothing that you can do to strengthen that specific relationship except for by loving yourself and loving them equally, by do not seeing them as faulted or bad or negative, and allowing the same relaxation in the perception of yourself. This is what heals all relationships on all levels, regardless of what kind of relationship it is. If the entity that is the elemental consciousness that is collected, if they are upset, there might be nothing that you can do to calm them down, as it is with humans around you. But you also know that these entities are also manifestations of what is within you already. This means if you are seeing a piss-off air energy, it is because within yourself you feel bad for having polluted it, or by doing something in your economic way that has affected it. If you did not, you would never be able to perceive it.
Wow. Thank you. And I find that interesting because I've been watching, not Avatar the movie, but Avatar, which has these benders who bend the different elements, and it's become very popular. And it's very recent to me. I caught up on all of them, and I feel like it's almost our I hate to say modern day collective, but just our today's in this moment in time that we experience it, collective, that seems to be connecting with those elementals in that way, because I do feel like, we are a part of it, and all of those elements are within us too. So that's amazing that you're bringing up, the love, the self-love, and seeing all that equality, and knowing that we're made up of these elements ourselves. It's a beautiful thing.
This is correct. It is very beautiful and very exciting all in the same breath. We are appreciating to have connected to all of you in this evening, but we must disconnect. We must also express that Triple Yitni is with us, and he is expressing his own gratitude and love to all of you as well, and we must disconnect in this moment. But before we do, we must bid you adieu for this evening. You are loved.
You are loved too. Thank you so much for both of you coming. I know TReb's been listening and putting in his energy as well, and I want to thank you both and Rob for being available tonight on this beautiful Halloween Eve. We really deeply appreciate it, and you are loved too.
We are very appreciative of your kind welcome and kind goodbye. You are loved as well.
Thank you.
We bid you adieu.
Good night.